patch them together.
No worries.
So whenever you're ready, Rolf.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep, that's all up there. Thanks.
All right, so I've got a link here to my app. This is a Google slide that's been made into an app. I have a class, an EFL class in Lao, and this is an app made from Google Slides. You can see here the navigator for slides, and it brings together all the things. It's actually supposed to be an app for every student in this class to get to all of their resources that they need. And so here I can just go through, or I can click, and it takes me, this is announcements here, and this one goes back, and then the calendar, back, ongoing projects. The interesting one here is this one here, the student links. Student links is, these are all their classes, the level 1 speaking, listening class, the read writing class, the computer class, and some of the other links to the tools that they need. So let's go into this one here, the level 1 speaking, listening class, and it opens up Google Classroom. And this is the classwork here. And then I go straight into their work from here. So let me get back. Oops. And they can then just and everything is in the one place. I can even give them messages and some information that they need. And that's basically all there is to it. It's all for, and all of these controls are links. They can be linked to an external website, or they can be linked internally. So all of the, for example, next page here just takes you to a link internal from, so this app works, of course, on a mobile phone, which is what it's designed to do. So a lot of my students only operate through a mobile phone. They don't actually have a computer. So this is designed to get everything together so that they can, a lot of them don't have a lot of English, so it's very useful for them to navigate to everything they need for their class. And that's me.
Rolf, that's great. I just think, you know, if I was still teaching high school kids who always have a mobile phone with them, I reckon that would be a great way. And anyone who's tried to create a mobile app using something other than Google Slides will know it can be a bit of a nightmare. this is really simple. And, you know, the next step of taking that app and turn it into a pseudo app, which effectively is what it is on your
Yes.
iPhone, is really, really good. So
Yeah.
that's some great tips there. So if you don't mind just stopping sharing there. And while we do that, we're going to key Laura up. So Laura is the curriculum leader for English and Lote from Chanel College in Gladstone, and she's our co-captain on the GEG for Central Queensland. And she's going to take us through using master slides to create an interactive classroom. So thanks, Laura.
Unmute button wasn't working. All right, so host disabled participant screen sharing. Try again. Nope, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay. More co-host. Should be good now.
There we go. Yep. There we have it. Alrighty. So this is just, it was, this idea of having the interactive digital classroom was very vogue all over Pinterest and Facebook and all those things a few months ago. And I just did a couple for my classes when we were learning at home. And then this is one I actually did for a class on a day where I was away. So I used this. This was my supervision. I gave them the URL for the slideshow and they hooked in and had a go. So it uses the master slide idea. So my little items on my desk, like my shelf and my table, can't be clicked on and manipulated. If I just go into, I'll go into present mode, but I'll do that so I can still see my tabs. So when you're in present mode, the students find the activities by scrolling around and clicking on these images, which I've attached a link to. So when you have a look at it, there's something attached to lots of things here. Some of them are just little surprises that I put in for the kids. Others were links to PDFs. So this one, for example, was the PDF of their workbook that I wanted them to work on that day when it decides that it wants to load. So I just scanned their workbook for them. This one was a YouTube video to help explain one of the concepts that they were talking about, was verb tenses and things like that. I've actually adjusted this one for us slightly in that this plant and this tablet, and I think this one as well, little videos for us. So I made a very, very quick screencastify video that there's no dialogue in it, unfortunately, because I was in the staff room at the time and I didn't want to disturb people working. But just showing really briefly, it was a quick look at how to use the idea of the master slide, but Paul dealt with that one really well. So it's a little video about that. But one of the ways I learned about this was the GEG International YouTube channel had up a webinar about creating this sort of interactive classroom and this digital classroom. This link here will take you to the YouTube, the recording of that. And it has resources that teacher created, which are really, really helpful and really useful as well. This one I made, it'll ask you to make a copy, but this was just, it's where I keep my digital classroom. So if you wanted some, so I found the hardest thing about this is finding images to go in the background that look right. So this one's here for anyone who wants it, as I found when it decides to load. An interesting wall space, there's a whiteboard and a desk and a bookshelf, and then this one here. So if anyone wanted any of those, that's there for people to make a copy of if they like.
I'll just jump in there for a second, Laura. So the master slides is a great tool to get that consistent background, but it does require just a little bit of understanding of the different levels, doesn't it? And that contrasts with what I did, which was just to simply force a background, which, you know, the sort of stuff I do where I might have 14 different slides, all with something different. I can put just a background image. It's not as sophisticated as what Laura's talking about, but the master slide does require you just to to get your head around a couple of things.
Yeah. So like I said, there's a little video there about it, but if we go to view the master, oh, we got a loop. Okay, it's back now. So this was my master slide. So this is where I put all my blank frames, and this, so I can, if I decide this needs to be somewhere else, I can move it around. And now if I just, because I can just scroll away from it and we can see the changes there already. I'll just fix that and make it go back to the way it was. So you can use this slide, the idea of the master slide, like an ordinary slide. So you can actually build your master slide in this little environment as well, if that's something that you wanted to do. You can, so obviously we can see all the slides in this slideshow have a similar sort of template associated with them. You can do a lot of that creation and manipulation in here. So once you've created your blank slides, if I'll go out of it for a tick, and if I Control M, let's make a new slide. So it's copied my master because that's where I was at. If I'll delete that one. I'll just go, I'll make it after here actually, and that will have a blank one. So if I go to our view master here, I've got, I'll just make sure that I'm using the right one. So this slide here, I can insert images and do all those things that you would normally do on a slide in this level as well. If you wanted to save, you know, creating it as a slide and then saving it as a PDF, oh, not a PDF, sorry, saving it as an image and inserting it as a background and all those sorts of things. So this is a way that you could do that. The resource here that I've shared goes into that in a lot of detail, which is really, really great. And I thought I had adjusted that link, but I hadn't. So she actually goes, go away. She goes through the whole process of creating the slides from scratch and using from memory. She does talk about those master slides and all those sorts of things. It's really, really useful. And she has a link to her resource as well, a slideshow with lots of resources in it too. So my whole philosophy with all this stuff is I click and hope for the best. And that's how I tend to learn things.
I will actually piggyback off that and say that the slide deck that I was showing you before, the one with all the different examples in it, there's 38 slides in that deck. And when I first created it, I had the little instructions in the top corner as a text box. And I found that especially with the things where I was trying to show people how you can align shapes, it was getting tangled up in the text box. So they were dragging a shape across and then seeing an alignment guide for something I was trying to ignore. Yeah. So in the end, I did what you're suggesting there, and I actually created all of those instructional things in the background as a master slide. But because I got 38 slides and each one has a different instruction, I ended up with 38 master slides. Yeah. It does get a little bit complicated. Yeah. It feels like the right way to do it to me, but like I think Paul's method of doing it where you set up knows what you need, take a screenshot, not a screenshot, but like export the slide as a graphic and then put that in. That's a nice simple way to do it as well. So it's good that there's two methods. Yeah.
The thing I love about this is I actually hid in the wall. It's not there anymore, but I hid a invisible shape in the wall which linked to a form, and the first 5 people who finished the form got a prize on my return. None of them found it. I was very disappointed in them. It was just this blank space on the wall that I was hoping that they'd arrive at. The other thing that I find really useful when sharing this sort of slide with the class as well, one that is best used in present mode, is that rather than giving them the slideshow and they open it up and have to click present themselves, I go file and then publish to the web, and I'll actually publish the slideshow as a website. It'll just automatically open for them in present mode. So you don't have to worry about them missing out on something because I couldn't be bothered to click on present mode, which is something that my year 10s are very good at.
Right.
That's terrific, Laura. So there's some great stuff there. Before I open it up to see if anyone is game to ask any questions. Laura, can I just get you to stop sharing there for a tick, please, if you wouldn't mind? If I just go back here and just want to quickly show you this, because it kind of seems a bit random, but I just thought I'd explain, and it follows on a little bit from what Laura showed you. Is so once again, in primary schools, particularly younger classes, we want to do a quick bit of a formative assessment. Do the kids understand what we've presented? You know, red, no; green, yes; orange or yellow, maybe. So using this sort of thing from a slide deck, once again, if you have a look in the speaker's notes, I publish that. I get teachers in an iPad classroom to share it with the kids using their Apple Classroom tool, and the kids can just click on red, green or yellow. Once that they've done that, it then pops up on this screen and you can see green, green, green. This kid didn't know whether he knew or not, and one yellow. And it sort of tells us that, yes, nearly everyone except for one kid is on top of it. So just a quick formative assessment tool that you can use using Google Slides, using Apple Classroom as a way of sharing it to all your kids and capturing that data with your press start button and your other button, and grab an image and put it aside for keeping as formative assessment for that bit of work with your lower school kids. So I thought that was worth just having a bit of a look at as well. So look, can I open it up to Team Longreach, who mostly seem to be joining us? Anyone there got some questions that want to ask?
Hello, how you going?
G'day, Ange.
I do have a question. Is there a way that I can draw on Google Slides with my stylus?
Not really, no.
Okay, that answers that. And my second question was, is there a website that you'd recommend that has a bank of pre-made Google slideshows that we can tap into and adapt? I've found a few, but I'm wondering if there's one that you'd recommend is better than others.
The ones that I love and my students really love, like they love the slideshows that come on it, are Slides Mania and Slides Go. Those are my two absolute favorites. And the kids really like the ones that I find on there, and they find funky ones too.
What about Slides Carnival?
It's a bit boring.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Laura, can I just get you to drop any links that you might have for those into the resources area there for anyone who's perhaps got this, and instead of having to go search for them, we've got it there ready. Chris, did you have anything in mind that you wanted to throw up?
Yeah, I just, hearing some of the stuff you guys were talking about just made me think of something else that might be useful. Can I just share my screen again? I just want to show you something. Application, that one there. So I just real quickly just grabbed this image. So I've got a slide here. I grabbed an image off the internet of just a couple of people standing here. And one of the way we talked about interactivity, where you can click on different things and have different objects. And in the example we just saw, where there was like, you know, a tablet and a plant and stuff, and those graphics itself were the links that you could click on and that they'd take you somewhere. But what happens if you've got like one big image and you want to be able to click parts of the image and and go somewhere? So one of the things you can do is, if you stick the image in there, you can use from the drawing tools here. There's a thing called, well, there's a few of them. I like the one called Polyline because it's nice and simple. So if I was to track around this girl here with this Polyline tool and just basically grab, you know, trace around her body like so, get a rough guide, and then finish it off by going back to where I started, it's going to create a shape on that girl's body. Now, that's a grey shape. It's not terribly useful, but if I was to do the same thing, say with this guy real quickly, just I'll be really rough about this, just go down there like that, click, 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 go around him. So I'm just trying to identify the areas of each of these shapes. And like this could be areas on a map. It could be anything at all where you have one big image that you want to break down into several components. So imagine I've done all of them, right? So what I can do now is click on this shape, go to the insert menu and say insert a link. And then I can add my link there, http:// www. I'll just make it go to google.com, right? So we'll do that. and we'll go to this other guy here, and we'll make him go to a different link, insert link, http://www. I don't know, bin.com. Let's do that for a joke, right? So I've got two different shapes there, and each one is linked to a different URL, but they could also be linked to another slide within the same slide deck. Like, you can link them to anything. And then the thing is, once you've got that, you click on the first shape, hold down Shift, click on the second shape. So now they're both selected. Go to the colors up the top here and say, make them transparent, and go to the lines and say, make the line transparent. So now they have shapes on them, but they're invisible shapes. You see, if I click on this sky here, if I can get it, if I go to present mode, what should happen is, I know this works in Google Drawings, I'm presuming it works in, oh no, don't tell me it's not doing it. Oh no.
I think it might.
Worked on the girl. I clicked on the girl and it took me to google.com, right? I don't know what happened with the guy. But you can see when I go over this girl here, you see the pointer changes to a little hand. Yeah. So she's a link. I must have messed up this one for some reason. Yeah. But yeah, so you can take, are you able to unshare my screen, Paul? So that I don't accidentally stop the recording again.
Where are we? Participants, Chris Betcher, more, stop sharing. Yep, all good.
Yeah, so I just thought that was a useful little idea, that if you've got a more complicated shape and you want to divvy up the shape into bits and pieces, you can also do that.
Thanks,
one of my favorite things from many, many years ago, the start of the internet, was a thing called the Clickable Anthony. And it was a guy who, his mates just made this, took a photograph of him one night and turned every part of his body into a clickable link that went somewhere as a joke. It was quite funny.
And that's certainly a blast from the past for all those of us who've been to Google summits and been to any Chris's sessions 100 years ago. So thanks, Chris. So, Ange, you're good now? All right, any other questions? Look, so can I encourage you to explore some of the resources that are there? One of the things that's worth having a look at is, in those resources is Michelle Ferre's video on YouTube about how to create drag and drop activities on Google Slides. A little bit American, but you'll get the idea, and it will make a lot of sense. And some of my stuff would just follow on from what she's been doing. So exactly the same things. So those resources are there. And of course, if you've got any questions that come from this, you know where to find me. Just pick up the phone, shoot me an email, Skype, Zoom, whatever. We'll endeavour to try to help you and get you started on your journey to making some interactive slides. So the key, I guess, is we have to find the ways to incorporate technology effectively in our face-to-face classrooms to produce better teaching and learning. ICT capabilities is not optional. It's a general capability, and it's something that underpins all our learning areas. And what we need to be doing is creating purposeful activities that we can get better outcomes for our kids from. So thanks to our presenters this afternoon. Thanks to Rolf, Chris and Laura. As for 2021, at this point, we've got a GEG for term 1 next year in week 4. So I've already booked that into the calendar that we send out to schools in the hope that we might be able to get a few more people involved. But this session will go on the web, and we'll let people know through the GEG that it's out there for those who weren't able to join us this afternoon. So thanks again for joining us. Hope you have a great break over Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you in 2021.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for everything you do for the GEG.